Welcome back to Eyewitness News Unscripted. You know, tonight in Branford, there is an amazing author event that you can check out. It's happening at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery. An addiction expert named Matt Grace, who is a recovering addict himself, he's been sober for 21 years, is promoting his book, God Doesn't Relapse, for a $5 admission fee. You actually get a free copy of the book when it comes out in August. And we actually got to chat with Matt yesterday here on Eyewitness News Unscripted. Take a listen.
One of the reasons why I wrote my book was to help families. I dedicated my life of 21 years of sobriety to be of service because I believe I was spared for a reason. Many of my childhood friends are dead, and I didn't want them to die in vain. And I think one of the most important things that people can implement into their recovery, whether it's a 12-step program or any other program, is being of service to somebody else. That's what truly lights my spirit, and that's why I'm on a book tour talking about my book and the importance of giving back and helping someone else.
It's such a powerful message. He's going to be sharing it tonight at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery in Branford. And we're so happy to be joined by the Chief Communications Officer there, Margaux Hyde. She's also our good friend. So, Margaux, before we get anything else, I know you have chatted with Matt, and his message is inspiring in part because you do see success stories like Matt's every single day. Sometimes we focus too much on the negatives and people who unfortunately succumb to their addictions, but people also recover and rebuild their lives every day as well.
Absolutely. And that's a big part of our mission here at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery. We're one of Connecticut's oldest nonprofits. We've been around since 1871. And a lot of people may not know us by our new name, Root Center for Advanced Recovery. They may be more familiar with us as we were previously called the Hartford Dispensary when we got our roots in 1871. But we now have 14 sites all across the state. We serve 5,500 people a day. And that number sounds staggering, but it's also encouraging because that means that those are all people who are actively seeking recovery and they are actively seeking treatment. So while it is true that unfortunately some folks do succumb to the disease of addiction, there are also so many others who are able to restart their lives and get a new lease on life. And that's exactly what we're hoping for. And that's exactly what Matt stands for as well.
And, you know, I know Matt talks a lot about personal accountability. I know you do that at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery as well. But he also focuses on families of people who are struggling with addiction because he says in his own family life, for example, his father made some mistakes. So do you reach out to the families or do you mostly focus in on the folks who are actually struggling with addiction? Or is this sort of like a family affair at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery?
It can be a combination of both. So we definitely are working one-on-one with the patients themselves, but sometimes they do request that their families are a part of it, or they may bring family members in to speak with counselors or to speak with our team and kind of further their recovery that much more because we know that it absolutely is a team effort. And if you can get your family on board or your loved ones or those closest to you, you have that much better chance to be successful.
And Margaux, I know you had a very successful media career before you pivoted and you started working with the Root Center for Advanced Recovery, but I can't imagine how satisfying and gratifying your career must be now because you must see some of those success stories that you're able to help author at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery. So I'm sure it's kind of an emotional process and extremely gratifying.
Oh, for sure. You know, one thing that I tell people often is when I got this job, I had someone who said to me, well, why would you want to go work there? You're going to be with folks who are alive one day and dead the next. And that's a pretty shocking statement to hear. And it really kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I looked at them and I said, well, you know, a lot of times when I'm working with these folks or on these stories and news, unfortunately, I'm getting to the story when things are already too late, when something already bad has happened and I'm sharing a crowdfunding page or resources that folks can do after the fact. Here at the Root Center, I feel like I'm more on the forefront of changing things. And while I always say that it's going to be our frontline staff workers who are really making the difference, and it's not necessarily the communication side that's going to be the biggest change in the opioid epidemic or the mental health crisis that we're seeing. Certainly, if I can impact someone or let somebody know about our services or what we do, then I feel like I've made a difference in that change.
Absolutely. And I do want to talk about the speaking engagement tonight. It's happening again 6 to 7 tonight at the Root Center for Advanced Recovery in your Branford chapter. And I know Matt's going to share his powerful story. Also, for a $5 admission, you'll get a free copy of his book, which is absolutely incredible as well. I do want to ask you, though, in terms of what you hope to accomplish tonight, because this speech and this talk that Matt's going to give, it obviously could impact everybody on every level, including folks that may be struggling with addiction, including family members of recovering addicts and things like that. So what do you hope that we're able to look back at this event in a week or two? What do you hope we get out of it as a community?
I hope that folks can learn that we are here, the Root Center for Advanced Recovery, to help them. So even if they themselves may not be in need of help, I think we can all say at this point in our lives that we probably know someone who's been impacted by mental health struggles or addiction. And so if that's the case, to know that we have facilities all over the state of Connecticut. Again, we treat 5,500 people a day, and we're here to be a resource for you if and when you need us.
Margaux, have you seen it's sort of a double-edged sword. It's sort of bittersweet, as you mentioned, because on one hand, you say that number and it is staggering, and you think, oh my goodness, the need is just out there and it's incredible. But the help is out there too. And also, perhaps most importantly, as you mentioned, more and more people seem to be realizing that, hey, you know what? I need help fighting this deadly, often deadly disease and addiction. And obviously, you have a great community resource like the Root Center for Advanced Recovery out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that while the number is staggering, as we've said, 5,500 people a day just kind of stops you in your tracks and you say, wow, that is so many people seeking active recovery, which is really, really inspiring when you think about it. But it's also inspiring to see that while the numbers are still high when it comes to overdose deaths, we are making improvements on that front too. So last year was the first year that the overdose deaths for Connecticut were under 1,000, which is still over 900 families that lost loved ones. So that's way too much. Any death is a preventable death, and any death that happens is too much. But to know that that number is finally on the decrease, and we hope this year will be the same and even lower than that, and we can keep moving that trajectory in the right direction, is also encouraging and what keeps us going, honestly.
Absolutely. We have less than a minute to go here, Margaux. But a bottom line is the hope is out there because the help is out there. There are people that are willing to help, but it starts with the individuals, and I'm sure you're so proud of them, the folks that have made that choice to get help.
Yeah, the biggest thing that folks can do is ask for help, and that is such a sign of strength. And my heart goes out to everybody who's actively fighting this. And I think that we can all say that we want the best for those who are seeking recovery and seeking treatment, because ultimately that's what's going to get them across the finish line for whatever a healthier life looks like and means for them. So for me, it is a hopeful statistic to see. It is hopeful to be in this industry because I'm just hoping that I can make change in a positive way that goes on to impact hundreds of people's lives and families as well.
Margaux Hyde, again, the Chief Communications Officer for the Root Center for Advanced Recovery. Make sure you check out that event at their Branford campus today, the author event from 6 to 7. Margaux, thank you so much. And we are just about out of time here on Eyewitness News Unscripted. Eyewitness News Extra is coming your way next on the stream.